Have you ever left a conversation feeling like your own emotions betrayed you, sensing something was off but unable to pinpoint exactly why? Maybe it sparked a quiet inner questioning of your memory, your judgment, even your sanity. This is the subtle, unsettling signature of emotional manipulation. It rarely announces itself with obvious warnings. Instead, slips in quietly, blending guilt, confusion, charm, and control until you suddenly find yourself unsure where your thoughts end and someone else's begin. This episode isn't just about spotting manipulators. It's about peeling back the layers of your own reactions when someone tries to reshape your reality. Often, the most dangerous aspect isn't the manipulator, but the hidden psychological traps your mind sets along the way: self-doubt, cognitive dissonance, a fractured identity. We'll unravel exactly how emotional manipulation works, why it's so insidiously effective, and how it quietly reshapes your inner world. You'll discover how to catch it early, avoid mental traps, and most importantly, rebuild a robust sense of self that's resistant to distortion. Protecting yourself isn't merely about recognizing manipulation, it's about clearly seeing who you are, even when the world tries to blur that vision. Let's dive in. Emotional manipulation is psychological control masked as affection, concern, or logic, often occurring without your conscious realization. Unlike overt abuse, manipulation whispers softly, exploiting your empathy, fears, need for acceptance, and your inherent desire to understand others. The manipulator doesn't force your hand directly. Instead, they subtly guide you into questioning your own perceptions until you're doing their bidding willingly. Common tactics include gaslighting, making you doubt your memory or judgment; guilt-tripping, leveraging your kindness to gain compliance; love bombing, overwhelming affection followed by sudden emotional withdrawal once control is established; silent treatment, punishing you with emotional distance until you're desperate to reconnect; and projection, using you of the very things they themselves are guilty of, creating confusion and defensiveness. What makes manipulation especially disorienting is that it often comes disguised as care. The manipulator may seem genuinely concerned, framing their actions as just trying to help. Victims rarely notice until significant emotional damage has already occurred. It succeeds because you care deeply, you want harmony, understanding, fairness. Manipulators exploit that compassion, subtly shifting reality until you feel selfish or irrational. Recognizing emotional manipulation starts with awareness. Once you notice patterns, you shift from merely reacting to consciously observing, and that's your first powerful step toward freedom. Understanding manipulation requires introspection. Manipulators don't create vulnerabilities, they exploit existing ones. Humans are inherently wired for connection and acceptance, a fundamental survival instinct from childhood that remains deeply ingrained. When these emotional needs feel threatened, we instinctively adjust ourselves to maintain those crucial connections. Another factor is our aversion to conflict. Many of us have been taught that maintaining peace outweighs expressing truth. Manipulators exploit this, gradually eroding boundaries without pushback. Self-doubt further fuels manipulation. Subtle reinforcement of insecurities about our worth or judgment makes trusting another's reality over our own easy. Finally, hope, usually a strength, can become a vulnerability, trapping us in an endless loop, hoping things will improve. You aren't weak for being vulnerable. You're human. Understanding these emotional dynamics helps fortify your defenses because manipulation isn't only about control, it is about convincing you to willingly give it up. One of manipulation's most disorienting effects is its subtle erosion of identity. Initially, changes seem minor. You withhold opinions to avoid arguments, downplay emotions to maintain harmony, second-guess instincts to align with someone else's reality. Gradually, your boundaries, values, and sense of self blur, shifting into what's known as a borrowed identity, a persona molded to please or appease another. Over time, this adapted self begins to feel normal, though deep inside, you sense something's missing. Questions arise like, why don't I recognize myself anymore? Or, why can't I trust my thoughts? These doubts aren't weaknesses, they're consequences of sustained manipulation. But your authentic self isn't gone, merely hidden beneath layers of adaptation and confusion. Reclaiming your identity starts when you stop trying to fix the manipulative relationship and instead begin to rediscover your own voice. Perhaps the most distressing aspect isn't external manipulation, but internal turmoil, the self-betrayal within your mind. If this resonates deeply, know you're not alone. Take a moment to follow or share this with someone who needs it. Clarity often begins with a single honest conversation. Your mind becomes a battleground between logic and emotion, intuition overshadowed by doubt. You might think, this person hurts me but loves me, or I should leave, but maybe I'm overreacting. This mental tension, known as cognitive dissonance, creates confusion. Leading to self-gaslighting, you dismiss your own reality before anyone else can. This internal conflict exhausts your confidence and judgment, leaving you feeling powerless. Yet confusion isn't defeat. It's your deeper self signaling something isn't right. The goal isn't to silence internal chaos instantly, but to recognize the resilient voice beneath it, the one still anchored to your true self. The first step toward escaping manipulation is recognizing the patterns, not isolated incidents, but recurring cycles of control and distortion. Often, clarity arrives subtly, a repeated emotional exhaustion after interactions, ignored boundaries, or simply an internal whisper. This isn't right. Sometimes external perspectives from friends, therapists, or family break through the fog. Occasionally, your body speaks first with chronic anxiety or emotional fatigue. Seeing the pattern clearly is transformative. It doesn't instantly resolve everything, but shifts your stance from absorbing manipulation to naming it, marking the beginning of reclaiming your strength. Recognition isn't an endpoint. It's the first step back toward your authentic self. Protecting yourself from emotional manipulation involves fortifying mental habits, not erecting walls. Start by grounding yourself in your values, clarify your beliefs and boundaries. Reinforce emotional boundaries by limiting emotional access to those who regularly manipulate you. Question emotional logic. Remember, feelings aren't always facts. Practice recognizing manipulation patterns. Create reality anchors through journaling or trusted friends. Trust your body's signals and reclaim your voice by speaking up, even tentatively. True strength arises from clarity, making you resilient, self-assured, and impossible to diminish. Manipulation leaves behind an identity crisis akin to waking up in a familiar house filled with unfamiliar furniture. You question your choices, wondering, what do I genuinely like or believe without their influence? You haven't vanished, but been edited. Identity isn't static, it's ever-evolving. Recognizing your manipulation experiences marks the beginning of rediscovering your authentic self. Remember, emotional manipulation subtly distorts your identity and truth, but recognizing patterns empowers you. Your mind is your ally, not your enemy. With newfound clarity, awareness, and self-trust, you can reclaim your strength, resisting manipulation and reclaiming your life.